Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's Tech Tuesday episode. If you don't know me already, my name is Danny Zwischenberger, and I work for the Kentucky Horticulture Council. One of my main focuses right now is this educational series for growers across the state who are interested in or already engaged in greenhouse production and want to take their operations to the next level by incorporating new technology or improving upon structures that they have on their farms. If you've been following along for the past few weeks, you'll have seen some infographics on integrated pest management strategies in protected ag spaces, as well as an awesome presentation by Copert Biological Systems on precision pest monitoring and the hugely helpful pest scouting app that they've developed for growers. And if you've missed any of our Tech Tuesdays so far, you can find those on the Hort Council social media pages. The whole series will soon live on the Hort Council's website, but in the meantime, I will drop links in the chat to our Facebook, as well as the recording of the Copert talk from our YouTube channel for y'all to check out. In the next month or so, we have a lot of excellent content in the works that you definitely will not want to miss. On April 30th at 12:30 p.m. Eastern Time, you can tune in to hear our conversation on horticultural lighting solutions. And then in May, we have some back-to-back webinars on fertility management, UVC lighting, and greenhouse automation. And I will also drop the links for those in the chat, so I hope y'all will come back and join us for those. Just a couple of logistical notes before we get started today. This is just a little disclaimer that throughout our Tech Tuesday series, we will be showcasing a wide variety of tech companies, brands, and products, but the Kentucky Horticulture Council does not necessarily endorse any one of them specifically. The main focus of this series is to educate and empower growers, and growers should make purchasing decisions based on the needs of their own operations. Next, if you'd like to, let us know in the chat who's in the room today. Are you a grower that already works within a controlled environment system? Maybe you have a couple high tunnels, a greenhouse, low tunnels. Maybe you still work solely with open field crops. Perhaps you're here as an ag service provider or extension, or you're just interested in farming or technology. Whatever it is, we are glad that you're here. And if you have any questions for our speaker during his talk, feel free to drop those questions in the chat as well, or you can just unmute yourself after the demo and ask aloud. So let's go ahead and get into it. Without further ado, I'd like to introduce y'all to Rob Fusco from a company called Sensaphone. Sensaphone provides remote monitoring solutions for many different industry segments, from water treatment facilities to cold storage to livestock. But today, Rob will be walking us through a demonstration of their greenhouse monitoring systems. Now, if you have ever worked in a high tunnel or greenhouse, you'll understand the challenge of trying to maintain that temperature sweet spot and the fear that plagues greenhouse growers when they think of the consequences of something going wrong while they're not around. Whether that be a heater shutting down one winter night, an irrigation line freezing up, or a fan not circulating all of a sudden. Basically, a lot can go wrong, and devices like the ones we will see today aim to mitigate some of the potentially disastrous effects by simply alerting you to what's going on so that you can take action. And I know Rob will explain the company and the tech much better than I can, so I will stop sharing my screen and let you take it away, Rob.
All right, I appreciate that. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
And you did a great job, so I might let you just handle all of this.
That's perfect.
All right. Yeah, like I was saying, Sensaphone is almost a 40-year-old company. We started with phone dialers in the early 80s that used phone lines and would call people when there's problems, either temperature related or dry contact type sensors could be attached to our systems, and we'll call you and let you know there's a problem. But we're a lot more than that today. We'll be talking about some of the newer systems for greenhouse applications, specifically with wireless sensors and what you can achieve with our systems. We do have some of the lower cost systems out there. that are 100% made in the USA. We do have full stock available, so you're not worried about any. If you're worried about like long lead times, we can usually ship product in 1 to 2 days. I'll go ahead and I'll get started on the system. We have two versions of this. The one we're going to be discussing, it's the Sentinel monitoring systems. We have this in both Ethernet and cellular. So if you do have a network available at the location, and you can surely use a Ethernet-based systems. And a lot of people say, well, what if my network goes down? They are fully supervised. You'll get notifications to let you know the devices are offline if that does happen. We can also, using our cell system, you can incorporate it as a failover. So if Ethernet does go down, switch to cellular, so you'll always have visibility. Or you could just do full cellular. So those are the two main systems that we're going to be discussing today. It's the Sentinel Pro and the Sentinel Pro cellular unit, which let me pull that up again. These use basically 4G modems. If at some point, if 4G ever gets decommissioned, we will have an upgrade path to 5G. We use external modems just for that purpose. So you should easily get 10 plus years of life out of our systems. They're very reliable, very robust. And the way these systems work is basically they're all cloud-based. You power on the unit, they automatically phone home, and you can manage everything right from a login portal that looks like this. These are alive systems. In this case, this is Puckett greenhouses. I did get confirmation I can use. So this is going to be the Sentinel system. This is the cellular unit. And then we have an Ethernet version of this, which is just the white box that you see here. And everything is in a NEMA 4X enclosure. They're rated for greenhouses. You can put them inside the greenhouse if needed. The sensors as well. So this system is an expandable system. It'll support up to 76 total sensors, 64 of which can be wireless or hardwired. We could do a mix of match if you need to. And then 12 can be hardwired directly on the unit. So you have an additional of 64 through expansion, plus the 12 gives you the 76 total sensors. The dashboard looks like this. So you can see everything gets mapped out. If you have multiple units, multiple greenhouse locations, you can manage them all from one single dashboard. All your temperature readings are going to be in real time. So what you're seeing here is a live reading of your temperatures. You can name every sensor, to ID the sensor when it calls you. And these systems, they'll do a text to speech when they call you. So in this case, they named it greenhouses. So when it calls, it's going to say greenhouses alarm and loading house bay 1. It will recite that to you on the phone, so you don't have to upload any custom voice messages. It's all text to speech, very, very simple. And typical acknowledgement code for our unit is going to be 555. So when you do get that alarm, you press 555 on the phone and it will acknowledge it and stop the dial out. Typical alarm response between a system going into an alarm and your phone's ringing is just under 7 seconds. So it's pretty quick. There's really no delays at all to get these notifications out. We could do blast notifications to multiple people all at once. So if you put 10, 15 people in your first tier and everybody's going to get called all at once, or you can stagger it to where it calls the first person. If they don't acknowledge, go to the next person. If they don't acknowledge, go to the next person, and so on. So you can set it up that way as well. So for configuring some of the inputs, very simple. You just give it a name, you set your alarm limits, and then you have some alarm delivery settings here. Basically, they're saying if my limits are exceeded for 5 minutes, then start calling out, and then you have an alarm event. So this temperature has to surpass this time for 5 minutes. So recognition time, very important feature in the system. So this way it doesn't create any false alarms. You can, if you want, do it immediate. If it's an alarm, I want to know, send out the notification. The systems have a reset time. So, and I'm not going to go through all of these, of course, but if the alarm was acknowledged and hasn't been corrected within a certain amount of time, the system can retrip and start notifying everybody again. These are full data loggers, so you can set up and trend your temperatures if needed. There's a little device logs tab here, which you can go to, and you can view your temperatures if needed. And click this week, click some simple links, and there we get a little graph of the data. Everything will be listed underneath here. You can export this if needed into a CSV or PDF file. There's also an option for automated reports where this can send the data to you daily or weekly or monthly, however you want the data. So this is a good way to track all your temperatures of your greenhouses if you need to. Maybe, you notice, heaters are cycling on more and more. Maybe there's something going on. You can kind of trend and do some predictive maintenance based off the data. There's an alarm log. Now this will store all the events, like who the system called, who acknowledged the alarm, when everything went into alarm, when everything went back to normal, who passed on the alarm, stuff like that. It's all in your alarm log. Go to the system itself. So the Sentinel is basically two components if you want wireless sensors. So you have your basic Sentinel Pro, which you can wire 12 sensors to. And if you want to expand it with wireless sensors, you can add a WSG30. Now, each one of these gateways will support up to 30 wireless sensors. Sensor range could be technically unlimited, depending on how you configure your wireless network. The sensors use point-to-point technology. They don't use Wi-Fi. They connect directly to the WSG30. And you can see, with this system here, we did a pretty large coverage on these greenhouses. So the sensors can basically help other sensors back to the main unit. So when you take a sensor and you configure it to router mode, its distance is about 1,000 feet. And now you can also add another sensor that's in router, which will increase that distance an additional 1,000 feet. So now you're 2,000 feet away. And all other sensors can use these routers to communicate back to the main unit. So you can get a lot of coverage out of these wireless sensors and, get obviously the monitoring that you need. So sometimes you look at, a site and say, oh, well, I have this greenhouse all the way in the back here. I don't know if we're going to, if it's going to reach. As long as you put the routers in specific locations, maybe, one here, one here, one here, you'll have no issues communicating everything back. And this current sensor, so all the sensors are monitored. So if a greenhouse is shut down, you can remove basically, the sensors themselves can be disabled from the system. The sensors run on 2 AA batteries, which typically last about 2 years, I would say. Very easy to replace, very inexpensive batteries. They're just standard AA batteries. You'll get notifications when they're low. You'll get and they're very easy to replace. Pop the cover off, take the batteries out, put the new ones in. Other than that, there is an option for power supplies for the batteries, or for the sensors, where you can plug them in and you don't have to worry about battery replacement. They'll just serve as a time when the power to the greenhouse is shut down or whatever, and then you're running on batteries. That's about it. So you can have up to 64 wireless sensors on this one. This current setup has 30. And alarm deliveries, like I said, this system could do phone calls. It could do text notifications. It could do email notifications. And there's also a free app for this system. So you can manage everything right from your phone. So a lot different than your original dialers. I don't know if everybody's is familiar with Sensaphone or not, but a lot has changed in 40 years. So so this would be our greenhouse, and things you can monitor. Obviously, you could do temperature, you could do humidity, you could do flow if you want to monitor your irrigation lines. You could do pressure, you could do CO2. your fans, we typically could use vibration that will detect if a fan becomes imbalanced and there's an issue with it. There's light sensors. Any third-party sensors out there can be incorporated with our system. So if you want to do anything like conductivity or pH on any fertilizer, stuff like that, you could do that. Soil moisture, that's a big one. We can monitor the moisture content in soil, and you can obviously view all this information right from a single dashboard here. Dashboard users, you can put as many users as you want in the system. I don't think there's many here. Every user is going to have certain credentials to log in, so there are security protocols involved, like if they're an admin or if they can only a read-only user, you could set them up by their user access under their users page. Let's see. That's everything on the Sentinel series. If you're looking for phone-based dialers, we still have those available. A little older, old school, a little older design. We have them in 4 and 8 channel, but perhaps you have, like a Tortronic system or, some sort of system that you want to connect the phone line. You have a phone line, you want to use it. We have basic dialers like the 1400, 1800, 4 channel, 8 channel. That's where the numbers come in. And you can connect alarms to them and they'll call up to 8 people on alarm. Same price. If you could, I would say go Sentinel Cellular, because what you're paying on the phone line is probably going to be 2-3 times the cost of a cellular unit per month. Our cellular units are $24.90, actually $34.95 a month for the Pro model, where a phone line could probably run you, $70, $80, $90, $100 now a month. So if you have a system now and it's using a phone line, maybe look into swapping that out for a cellular system and save some money per month. I think that's everything I have on my end with the Sentinel Pro. Wireless sensors, we have them in NEMA enclosures. I have this little picture. It looks like the sensor, so they can be mounted in the greenhouse. There's a sensor that comes out of here, and you can mount it up to, it comes with 12 feet of wire. It should be plenty. And this is a weatherproof enclosure for it, so it can easily be mounted in greenhouse applications or any wet environment. Is there any questions? I'm open for questions, so if you do have any, feel free to speak out about the systems.
Thanks so much, Rob. Yeah, we do have a few questions coming in the chat and a couple that have come direct to me, but did you talk about what happens if power goes out? How does the system work if there is no electric at all?
So if there's no electric, there are built-in battery backups and everything.
Okay.
You'll get a notification, which is included for power. So you'll get a notification, let you know the power is out. At that time, the battery backup will kick in. It will sustain the system for 8 hours. When power comes back up, it recharges the battery, and that's about it.
Gotcha. And I guess for our demographics, our network here, the question is, what's the price point on a single greenhouse basic system?
A basic system Ethernet, I'll give you MSRP is around $815 for a regular Sentinel. $6.95 a month would cover the cost for texts and phone calls on that system. A temperature probe, $30. So if it's just something like that, very simple, under 900, and you could be paid for the year for the subscription monitoring. Now you can also, if you're just worried about the colder season, you can pay monthly. So you pay the colder season, and then you could shut the system off and not have to worry about the other months until you're ready to start up again. Then you could start the premium subscriptions again, which are for Ethernet units, it's $6.95 a month. Cellular starts at $24.95 to about $34.95 a month, depending on the system.
Gotcha.
Yeah, the why there is a subscription for Ethernet is because we get charged per text and per phone call. So we don't send email to text, which a lot of systems do, which are kind of getting frowned upon by the carriers, and they will throttle those type of notifications or cancel them altogether because they want people to send text. They want people to pay for texting. So yeah, that's $6.95 covers the cost of that. If you don't need text, you don't need phone calls, there is a free option where you just buy the hardware and you can get email notifications. So you don't have to pay anything for a month. So even if you're, say, so when you downgrade the system, say during the warmer months where you don't need it, you'll still get email notifications if you want for free. And
Mhm.
then, when you're ready to start the system, you could put yourself into the premium plan and get your text and phone calls.
Gotcha. And so all of the sensors are sold separately from the monitoring device. That's correct?
It is. It's kind of a la carte. You put it
Uh-huh.
together. What you'll get is power monitoring with the built-in UPS, and then a basic Sentinel will have 12 inputs on it, and you could hardwire those sensors. So if an application where you can hardwired sensors, that would be your most cost effective. Each Sentinel will handle up to 12 sensors. Um, And now if you want to go wireless sensors, that's more the Sentinel Pro using a wireless gateway. They communicate kind of hand in hand. So higher
And
costs obviously would be the wireless sensor system.
gotcha. And can other sensors outside of Sensaphone be compatible with the monitoring system?
Yeah, we use a kind of universal input configurations for our system. So any sensor with a 4 to 20 output, a dry contact output could be tied into our systems.
Gotcha. And then in terms of like installation, do y'all offer that kind of tech support, or is it on the grower to hire an electrician, or is there a simple way that growers themselves can install?
Yeah, they're self-installable systems, especially wireless. As long as you can go to each greenhouse and mount a sensor, you're fine.
Mhm.
Um, Most of the greenhouse applications, they do the installation themselves. It's kind of like if you're doing a hardwired system like this, it's kind of like connecting speakers. Run the wire, mount the probe, and it's just a two-wire connection to our unit. It's all low voltage. It's not 120 volts or anything like that. It's very simple install. But if you're not comfortable with it, a basic electrician can do this, or most of the kids today, in technology, they can do this. It is very simple. It is. We,
Gotcha.
as a manufacturer, we don't offer installation from the factory. We have hundreds of reps and contractors. They could, if you need somebody, they can contact us. We can see if we have someone in the area for you. Um, but yeah, these typically are self-installed. They're very simple.
Awesome. Well, I think our last question is in the chat from David, and he asked if the dashboard is mobile friendly.
There is an app. So it works with iOS and Android. It's free. You just type in Sensaphone, and that's pretty much it. It will use the same credentials that you use to log on to the main dashboard. If anybody, wants a demo login, I can provide that. If you wanted to share my information, Danny, with them, that's perfectly fine. And then I can get them, they can download the app, they can plug in the demo credentials, and they can see everything from there.
Awesome. Well, I will share your information with anybody that was on the call today, and I will follow up with an email with links to our future Tech Tuesdays. And if anybody has any further questions for Rob at Sensephone, I will be sure to pass them along. But thank you so much for your time, Rob, and thank you all for joining us. And I hope I will see you all here another time.
All right, thank you. And thank you everybody
Thank
for
you so
jumping on.
much.